Super busy day today, folks. We'll be talking space weather and Earth weather and more here at the Smash News Network, please busted name. In news, thanks for tuning in. Congratulations on realizing we exist. This video is to talk Earth weather and space weather, chat with the viewers, and show some solar imagery and so on, and see what's going on with the closest star. See what's going on with the most amazing, the most beautiful, the most spectacular closest star that's ever starred in the closest. The most beautiful star that we've ever seen and we've ever laid eyes upon. It's really, when you think of it, it's an unprecedented star. Okay? All right, so now that I got that out of my system, yeah, stars, space, Earth, that kind of stuff. That's what we're going to be talking about. So allow me to get rid of some of my superhero costume and get on with talking about what's going on with the sun and the Earth. Is the Earth suddenly getting electrified as one, what's his name? Stephen Burnson? Stephen Burnson? Stephen Burnson said that the Earth's getting electrified because reasons. Except that doesn't purport to any known evidence. But yeah, look out, folks. Earth's getting electrified. Maybe that's why we've... Oh, no, what's that? A man-made cloud. Oh, my God. Be scared, folks. Be scared. I'm spooked. I mean, have you seen increased lightning in your area in the middle of winter? What's that? No? I heard that there was a man in a forest. Not sure the name of the forest, but there was a man. And he stated, "We demand you cut down the mightiest tree in the forest with a herring." That would be the chieftain of the knights who before that said "ni." And if you don't know what that means, then too bad. You gotta know the references. It's from... Somebody tell anybody what I mean in the comments. All right, but I digress. We'll talk about things like Earth and space and how it's spookily becoming electrified. Look out, folks. Electrified Earth. Geophysicist Stefan Burns said so. Oh no, look the F out, folks. Dear God, Earth is becoming electrified. I mean, we hope it's becoming electrified because, third world nations, some places need power and things. Hey, that's pretty good. Anyway, we're coming at you today from the surface of the sun. So that's why it looks a little brighter in here than normal. Decided to leave the SNN shades open so that the sun shines right in the window and tries to melt my face. It helps to keep my skills functioning well. Cheers. I've gone to French fry mode. That's actually not far from accurate. I've reached the French fry level. So, in Ms. Pac-Man, if you beat the game 33 times, the Illuminati takes over the Ms. Pac-Man machine and you get the French fry. I know like banana is like level 5 or something. If you've got the banana, folks, in Ms. Pac-Man, that's like scoring. That's beyond third base, folks. Anyway, let's take a look at the closest star. It's gonna load. I know it is. We'll look at HelioViewer and we'll look at your chats. I see that there are comments And thanks to everybody who's left a comment. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to press the subscribe button. Otherwise, your soul will be cast into an ever-deepening and darkening abyss of doom, destruction, and ridiculous pseudoscientific YouTube content. Yes, you'll have dog do diarrhea raining on you for all the rest of eternity in an ever-deepening and darkening, unsubscribed pit of despair. Despair! You'll wish that you owned a bunker by the time you're through, because you'll think that our finest days are not upon us. Doomsday prophets say the end is near. Unfortunately for the doomsday prophets, the end never comes. Our finest days continue to lie ahead. And whoops, they're just wrong each time. I mean, there's got to be a doomsday prophecy for each day at this point, right? How could there not be? There's got to be an entire church they're waiting for the rapture right now. They're like, make sure you're outside at 6:39 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on February 10th, because we wouldn't want you to go through the roof. I mean, you don't want to suffer physical injuries on your physical trip into the skies and off to heaven in physical form, as the rapture forecasts. So yeah, there's that. But I'm not aware of any. So, let us know. I'm actually gonna, why don't I check it out? I mean, maybe I'll be able to figure out, or maybe I can figure out why I can't see my own chats. That would be pretty good, right? And it's because I'm looking at yesterday's stream. That's a good reason. I'm like, I thought I was wearing that same jacket. Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah, so I got up at 1:30 this morning. 1:30. Yeah, I got like 5 hours of sleep, and I was like, whoop, I'm good. Yep. I still don't feel perfectly, but compared to how I did feel, I'm going to survive for the next 5 minutes, so I'm delighted. I'm just delighted. The next 5 minutes are going to be fine. Probably won't get hit by a meteorite. All right, what do we have here? I see comments. Thanks for everybody leaving comments. We're just waiting another approximately 14 years for Microsoft to upload my entire hard drive to the cloud, or whatever the hell it's doing that's not allowing me to simply load a basic tab on a web browser. It is a decently fast computer. It's running Windows 10, but you never know what the spyware is going to do next. So I don't know. Here are your chats anyway. I'll put them on the screen. You could see this pathetic slider here. I don't know. I guess it just doesn't like this browser. We're going to switch browsers. Tomorrow we'll try out a different browser, and we'll let you know what the results are. But this is working pretty pathetically here. This is Chromium browser. And let me put your comments on the screen here while this loads. It's a perfect time to address comments if any basic feature of Windows will function. There we go. I've switched to a different program. Yay! So Mozilla seems to work okay, but we like to use a separate browser I like to have two browsers, because then I can have a really cool dual window in the live streams when I'm doing it on the PC and so on. So anyway, what do you got? And we are back. Make with the business. No earth is always radiated with energy. Oh no, the cloud. I don't know what that means, Dirk, but thanks for leaving a comment regardlessly. Yeah, seriously though, Captain America, I am in favor of this thing called the fucking Constitution. That's what the federal government's supposed to do, folks. The shit in the Constitution. Not all the nonsense that it does. The shit in the Constitution. That's what the government's supposed to do. And that's it. The rest of it's supposed to be for the states, the localities, or for people like you. Read the fucking Constitution. If you don't think I ought to be wearing this, Barb, up yours. That's what I have to say about that. Dirk says, tell us some bullshit stories. Oh, okay, the herring story. We are the knights who say ni. Hey, he knows. All right, I don't understand the comments. Earth is croissant shaped. At least our viewers know Earth is croissant shaped. That's refreshing. Thanks for breaking that out, Barb. We'll talk about croissant Earth later in the stream. Promise. It's bookmarked. The end comes every day for some, Dan. That's true, Barb, but not a global cataclysm. See, and that's what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about the end is near, what I'm referring to is not the end of someone. I'm talking about the end of like civilization, the end of the northern hemisphere's climate, nonsense like that people say is going to happen like right now because reasons. That's what I have beef with, because it isn't backed up by any actual evidence. It's backed up by hand waving and people who don't understand basic science, much less the really, really applied science of trying to figure out what the ancient climate was. It's flat on its sides. It's a croissant. Beware of snow lightning, lol. Anyway, we've got some solar imagery here. Let's get to some space weather. We'll get back to your comments momentarily. We got some big prominences like this one down here. We've got some big flaring activity like this stuff over here, flaring over here, flaring over here. It looks like an uptick in the sunspot number and an uptick in everything. Of course, I took one day off yesterday, and there was a reason for it. It was because I felt like absolute trizash. So, but today, I'm pretty much back to full power. I'm close enough to full power that you wouldn't know the difference if you went bike riding with me. You would think I was at full power. Mark my words. Mark my merds. Anyway, we've got massive solar filaments as well. I believe we named this one after Eugene the philosopher, didn't we? Can anybody remind me? We've got some big coronal holes rotating in that I can even see in this wavelength. This is another big filament. Did I name that one or did I just offer it up for naming? I can't remember, but oh well. Let's take a look at the sun here from SDO. And yeah, this new sunspot is looking promising. So what are the fields looking like? Well, here they are. There's our magnetogram. And it is a beta class sunspot group, but it's not very complex. It does have this area right here is where we're seeing the flaring, I believe. So it's not too bad. It's something. And assuming it doesn't suddenly change, its likelihood of flaring is actually going to drop by about 4% as it rotates off of the limb. And let's don't talk about the physics of that. We should actually make a video about that, about limb flares, and the fact that at least Eugene the philosopher's analysis shows that they're about 4% more likely and more likely to be larger. I got to bring them on the channel so we can get an exact breakdown of that. But yeah, there are actually lots of sunspots here, folks. So it looks like a big uptick in sunspot number since Sunday, which is the last time we made one of these here type videos. Let's switch to continuum. We are on continuum. There we go. And all right, so we have a bunch that are going to set. So sunspot number here is going to drop drastically because this is a lot of umbre. That's sunspot 4633. So we're going to see a significant decline in some solar data sets. Radio flux, X-ray flux likely to go down here in the coming days. Let's bring up some more wavelengths here. We'll show coronal holes. We'll get that loading. Oh, it's loading pretty fast now. Maybe Microsloth adapted. Maybe Chromium adapted to Microsloth. I don't know. But there are some big filaments here, folks. Big filaments kind of pointed right at the Earth. And that's what you want to see when you want to see Earth-directed solar storms. And if you're spooked of Earth-directed solar storms, I feel kind of badly for you. Like, I hope you're not mad at clouds, too. A lot of people are mad at clouds. I kid you not. People think clouds are man-made and man-steered, and it's berserk, dudes. Some people think clouds are man-made and steered by mankind. It's it's very disturbing that somebody's outside right now pissed off at a cloud, whether it's a contrail or not. Did you know that contrails are unintentional and airlines are already trying to not create them? People recognize that it's pollution. It's pretty minor and it's only in very isolated places, like around glide paths, since they only occur at certain altitudes, and they're only they're only persistent at certain altitudes and in certain temperature, humidity, and pressure environments. They also tell you about the wind, so they're like a weather marker that people don't appreciate because they're telling you what the weather's doing. Anyway, let's move on to some more data. We're going to ignore cosmic ray flux and cosmic ray producers and take a look at the CME forecast by Hugh Redding. Hugh Redding, what say you? Will our souls be cast into an ever-deepening and darkening abyss of doo-doo diarrhea and nonsense that comes out of the face of Stephen Burnsinson? Stephen Burns' viewers? Stephen Burns called and he told me that he's bad at his job, that he tells people to trade crypto based on Mercury in retrograde, and even dumber things if you listen closely. Don't know if he's wearing a tunic today or not, but we can hope. Our favorite space weather hunk, folks. It's Stephen Burnsinson. Stephen Burnsinson, hunk living in Switzerland or Ecuador or wherever he's moved to this time to, I guess, escape accountability. But we have a massive CME here on the far side, just not on the Earth side. So looks like a coronal hole high-speed stream's on the way, but that's quite a ways off. And I think we're going to see that a little earlier than that, but we can cross our fingers and snap our fingers and hopefully not snap our necks. Shout out to Prong. Prong, if you're watching the space weather, congratulations on realizing that this channel exists. It's just the world's most comprehensive daily space weather video. I mean, it's pretty pricey. We got into near geomagnetic storm conditions here, folks. If that would have persisted, that total field of 7 with a BZ of -7 right there, that top line, that would have stayed geomagnetic storm. But that ain't what we got. We still do have an elevated solar wind speed, as if there still is a high-speed stream from the North Pole-oriented sector headed our way. So that North Pole sector has been fast. So that's going to be a side to watch when in the next, there's going to be a little uptick here in solar activity in about 3 weeks again, because this coronal hole is going to make it all the way around and come back. But 3.5 protons per cubic centimeter is around the solar wind density right now. 3.47 solar wind velocity, about 450 kilometers a second, and the fields have collapsed. So now we have a BZ of +3 and a BT of 6. So we're not going to see any geomagnetic storms from that. It's measured at L1, Lagrangian point 1, and today it's measured by both the ACE and Discover. And here are the ACE and Discover's orbits. If you'd like to sort of understand what they're doing at Lagrange 1, is they're orbiting that gravitational point. There's ACE, and there's Discover. Cheers. Fare thee well. Fare thee well, space crawler. And here we do see some variations in the solar wind happening, and that is affecting the pressure environment here in the magnetosphere. Things are calm when it comes to space weather. And of course, when we say Earth is croissant-shaped, this is part of the reason, because the magnetosphere kind of is croissant-shaped when you're looking at it from the side view. This would be like the meridional plane. And yeah, that's what it looks like for the past about 4 hours. Probably it's space weather modeling framework. GOES magnetometers are smooth. No major space weather striking the Earth at the moment. NOAA's forecast is boring. No big space weather on the way. Radio flux has dipped a lot, and it says sunspot 4633 sets. It drops down to about 145 solar flux units. 145 solar flux units is the F107. Sunspot number is down to 100 and what is that? 114 sunspots, we'll say. There you go. According to the Kings, not the Latin Kings, according to the Royal Observatory of Belgium, the King's Observatory. Yeah, the King of Belgium. I kid you not. All right, what do we got here? The Constitution. Yeah, the Constitution, you know, the laws that the federal government is supposed to carry and limit its power to. Ever hear of that? I guess Americans don't like that anymore because, you know, the Constitution is always being undermined, except for when your favorite president or whoever, like when your favorite politicians are governing, you don't give a f about the Constitution. But when your political opponents are in office, then you care about the Constitution, right? That's how it works, right? There's no hypocrisy whatsoever in the pathetic tribalist quote United States. We should change our name to AUSA, AUSA, the allegedly United States of America. Some people think the sun is an LED light or something. I remember clicking on a video of some crazy ass guy blabbing about it. I was dumbfounded. Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. People are paid a lot of money to talk nonsense. And all the best cult leaders who want you to believe their nonsense, they always have a shred of truth in there. There's always a shred of truth in the nonsense. It could be 99% nonsense with one factual thing, and people will go, I know what that thing is, therefore the rest of these things are not lies. It's pretty fucking pathetic. All right, anyway, yeah, a lot of dumb triggering in the past for sure. All right. Anyway, yeah, it's fun arguing with viewers. Like I don't take it personally. Like you're not going to hurt my feelings, folks. So like let the look. I know I look like a jewel. That's like this is why I'm cooking myself. I look like a jewel. So at least if I'm cooked, I won't look like a rare jewel, right? That's see that's one to grow on, folks. If you look like a jewel, then don't undercook yourself because then you'll look like a rare jewel, and that's no better. You want to be a rare jewel? I'm trying to stick my hand in a light socket right now. I'm going to stop because I don't want to get electrically shocked. It doesn't feel good. It's not so fun. Not so fun. If you've ever done it, let us know in the comments. Please don't get electrically shocked. It sucks. I hate it so much. It's like, I feel like I've shifted some of my cells into a neighboring universe or something. My cells have been teleporting in and out of this universe. It's fun. Don't become a living electromagnetic field. It's probably not the best. Dungeon and Dragon type. Did you know that I'm an actual dragon? Yeah. I have to appear in human form for these videos, or it will freak people out. And sometimes my scales get way too scaly, as you can see. And sometimes I just don't give a f about the illusion. And then I get off screen and use telekinesis to operate my mouse. But I digress. What, no man-made earthquakes either? Look, I'll bet people can make earthquakes. I'll bet earthquakes could be triggered intentionally if we really made an effort to do it. I'm sure there are certain fault lines that would be susceptible to it, depending on what it is we did. And certain fault lines would be more susceptible than other ones if we did other types of things to them. But yeah, that would be some interesting tech, right? It's probably not recommended. So it's a little scary because, you know, the deadliest thing that occurs on Earth is associated with earthquakes. It's called tsunamis. But, you know, it's like I said, everything keeps getting better, folks. Everything keeps getting better. Our finest days lie ahead. And doomsday prophets who are telling you, oh, no, the end is near, the end is here. You should live in fear at my cult compound. The end is near, the end is here. You should live in fear in my cult compound. See, I just made a jam. I'm gonna have to make a short out of that one because I would forget about this little jingle. It's called Cult Compound. They all look the same. You know, like that song, little boxes on the hillside. Little cult compounds made of ticky-tacky cult compounds, all the same. What would the aliens say? They would say what I just said. They would be like, what? Why do cultists believe so much nonsense? It's unfathomable. Anyway, let's cut back to the sun here. Here's 195 angstroms. And that's ionized iron, folks, in extreme ultraviolet light. And we got to view that from space. It's showing coronal holes here. These are of South Pole orientation. I think they're South Pole. This one's, wait. North Pole. These are North Pole oriented. Yeah, they're North Pole. Can't you see the magnetic field lines are oriented toward us instead of toward the sun? You can probably see that, right? Just kidding, folks. You really can't see that. Not with the naked eye and not with this. Never mind. Never mind. Let's don't get into the physics of that. There are two regulars on, and we would joke around. Dan didn't take kindly to it being serious and precise with his message. It's a business model after all. I didn't take it serious and made that mistake. Look, folks, this is YouTube, okay? And while I'm not playing a character, like I'm me when I'm on this channel, but I don't reveal most of me on this channel. I'm a little more complex than the stuff that you see me do and say on this channel. So there's that. Yeah, like it's you YouTube viewers, we love each of you. However, that does not entitle one single one of you to like know a certain amount of information about me, right? So, you know, and we take security super seriously because I've been a public figure since 1999, officially speaking. So I'm used to talking to strangers all of the time about all kinds of things. I'm just an appropriate marketing person. And that's why you become a living billboard, because it's a thing that you have an affinity for. So that's that's how it works. But of course, not everybody ought to do what I do. That's for sure, because nothing is fair. That's why. Literally nothing in the universe is fair. And like that's just a fact. And there's no escaping the fact that nothing's fair in the universe. Here's 171 angstroms. And like that's just the way it goes. Like, I mean, I'm not a Nazi, but you're elite. If you're elite, you can't act like you're not elite. It's like, I mean, it depends on what you're measuring your eliteness in, right? If you can do inhuman acts, sometimes you should. Most of the time you shouldn't. That's what makes them significant in the first place, right? So, but in any case, I've made some investments into being able to do things on the vehicle scale. So yeah, there's our house favorite wavelength. And I always enjoy the 171. Let me move these over here. Oh, for God's sake, what the f did it fucking do that for? Okay. Yeah, thanks everybody for leaving comments. I appreciate that. I did a rambling stream earlier about economic matters and things. Let's see. The Taurid belt in 2032. Yeah, I mean, I know there's dense spots in the asteroid belts. I'm not in the slightest bit scared of that. But the likelihood of a major, asteroid impact or something like that definitely goes up during meteor showers. So, the base statistical probability certainly is higher when passing through a stream of asteroids. I assume that you must be a Hulk fan, Barb. You must be a Hulk fan. That's why you put the Hulk emoji in there. I actually don't like Captain America or Hulk. I don't like either of those characters, but I like the shirt, and it was like $4.65 at Walmart or something. So, and it fits perfectly. It's like a, it's a, it's a miniature. It's not a small. I think it's a medium. I don't know. It's not quite painted on. It's there's some extra fabric, but it works well as a liner jersey. Like on a cold day, what's cool about this is that on a cold day, if you use this as your base layer a lot, it's gonna suck because this is gonna like stick to your chest. This doesn't really breathe very well. It's like it's made of like it doesn't breathe like the surrounding fabric. So like you'll like sweat out of this area, I imagine. But at the same time, it makes you slightly warmer, like if your chest is getting hit by wind. So you can use it to adjust. Like you should have a layer underneath this. But if you have a base layer underneath this, and then you have this on the outside, it's as if you've added a few degrees Fahrenheit to the external environment, if that makes sense. Like for a runner, when the conditions are going to change, they're going to get hotter, the air is going to get warmer throughout the day. Dressing for cold weather is extremely complicated and challenging. Oh yeah, feeding the AI. Like, look, I love ranting, and I will go moving forward this channel. I'm going to rant more and more because I see what is stated on YouTube, and I mean, there's so much garbage. So many people who have zero insight and they just say buzzwords and they don't even know what they mean, and I can't stand that shit. So, like, expect us to do more longer streams and more longer rants. It's like because it's social media, everything and nothing is serious all at the same time. It's all serious, it's all unserious. It's like we're running a monetized channel, but we don't change our professional standards for views. You see, that's a thing because I answer to a higher power than the dollar when it comes to YouTube because we don't make anything on YouTube. We make zilch on YouTube. And I would go full time if I thought it was viable. It's just that I don't think it's viable. I don't own a computer to look up the info. I prefer human interaction, even if I feign being dumb. You don't own a How the f are you watching this video if you don't own a computer? You just watch this on a TV with a remote or something? I guess I actually do that myself now, so. All right. I mean, it's pretty rare to hear somebody on YouTube say, I don't own a computer. Most people are viewing the videos either on a handheld device, a tablet, a PC, something like that. I mean, I'm sure plenty view it on a game system or a smart TV, but geez, I mean, like I use a combination of all of those things somewhat. I don't really use a tablet very much. I don't have a tablet, actually. But I got three PCs set up and one has two monitors, so I can do a lot of things at once. All right, Diamond and Ben. Is that some new channel? Diamond and Ben. That sounds nice. What is that? Is it that Diamond and Silk woman? Diamond and Silk and what? Ben Shapiro, I guess. That's cool. Diamond and Silk Woman and Ben Shapiro started a new show, folks, called Diamond and Ben. That sounds amazing. And it's appropriate to put her name first because she is older than Ben Shapiro. And of course, she's a woman. So ladies first. And even though it's in reverse alphabetical order, it would be Ben and Diamond if it was in alphabetical order. But no. Okay, cool. Little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of tickle-tacky little boxes, little boxes full of cultists. There's a coping one and a hypocritical one and an illiterate one and an economically retarded one. My only brother, you drop personal info all the time. We just got you back. Yeah, I mean, I dropped some personal info. Like, it's possible that something got revealed once in a while, but it's pretty rare, dude. Pretty rare. I'm a public figure. People don't know where I live. That's on purpose. Let's talk about your tassel hat. Okay. This is the first fleece device that I've ever owned. This hat, I bought this in the late 1990s when I worked in the Lehigh Valley Mall. I worked at a place called, at the time, it was called Mr. Dunderbox. And it is a Bavarian style restaurant that has a tent built indoors inside the mall. There's a tent literally built inside of this restaurant. And then there's lights on the outside of the tent to like illuminate the tent from the outside to make it give the kind of incandescent light that you'd have while eating outdoors on a sunny day in Bavaria. And then there's polka music playing, and out front there's a hot dog stand where you can get like hot dog and wursts and kraut and stuff. And then inside you can like have a sit down dinner or whatever, and there's booths and there's a bar. There's they don't serve liquor, just only beer. And they had about, when I worked there, they had about 250 different beers and about 7 drafts. So it was a happening spot. It was the ultimate beer spot in the Lehigh Valley Mall, and that's how I became a proper beer expert. And that's when fleece became popular. Right around 1995, 96, you started seeing everything was made of fleece. You could buy like fleece boxer briefs. You could buy like you know what I mean, fleece socks, fleece hats, fleece anything, right? And I was super broke because I was a busboy high school student, a busboy college student who worked like 20 hours a week on a good week. So I couldn't afford like a fleece jacket or anything like that. So I bought this freaking hat. This is the first fleece thing I owned, and I still have it. That's how durable that is. And look at how the color held up. I mean, it's still like perfectly fine. Now it's only been through the wash a few times, but it's not like this part of the hat ever takes any damage. You know what I mean? Like this doesn't get sweaty. And what you may not realize about these hats is that it becomes a mask if you want to. You can wrap it around your chin like this, and this extra space in the top can keep you much warmer. So one of my friends, he said, "Oh, I was wearing a different hat that had one of these pom poms on the top of it." And he said, "I always cut those off." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because I don't want it there." I said, "But it's a functional part of the hat." And he's like, "What does it do?" I said, "Well, if it's really, really cold, you turn it inside out so it's inside and it leaves an empty space above your head, and that keeps you warmer. Like if you're like going to try to wait out a blizzard, it might keep your head from freezing solid. There's that. And plus it keeps your hood up. So like if you wear a hood, the palm keeps it on your head even if the wind blows." He was like, "That's amazing." This dude is 49 years old and he just learned that in 2025. I'm not kidding. And he's not a dummy. He just didn't know that shit. Anyway. Polyester insulation. Wool, can't beat it. I mean, wool has pros and cons, and some people can't wear wool at all because it makes them itchy. For me, it has to be well-made wool. If it's old school, like rough wool with big threads, it's super itchy. I mean, it does not perform as well as polyamide. I'm not sure what the best wicking thing is nowadays as far as wicking moisture, but the reason that we don't wear anything cotton is because cotton loads up to about 30 times its weight. Actually, I think it's like something like 200 times its weight. You ever notice how when you get a cotton towel, you know, if you get it wet, it holds like a gallon of water in it? Like your beach towel holds like a half gallon of water in it, right? And that's because cotton is super absorbent. So it works great as a towel, and it works terrible as a garment that's wet. So if it's very hot, but you're not going to sweat, a linen garment is optimal, right? Because it's very light. But as soon as it gets wet, now it's toast, because it sticks to you and it weighs a lot. It's very uncomfortable. The cotton threads are actually very hard. The hardness of the fiber itself. So you want, I mean, most tech garments, this is like designed to be like an athletic garment. These things, they're made out of polyester. So, you know, people always say, like, cyclists, it's spandex. Spandex, like nobody calls this spandex. I mean, while it does technically fit the definition of the word spandex, because it's nothing like the old stuff. The old stuff, when that term became popular, it was in the 1980s, and it was full of latex fibers. We use elastane now in the good ones, and elastane is very different. It's not the same. It's not latex, because you don't want latex, because latex degrades. And some people, if they put a jersey with latex in it on, they might like not be able to survive that. They might go into anaphylaxis over putting on a latex jersey, especially if it's an old one, because it'll be all frayed and there'll be a lot of surface area. And I mean, I have some old crap jerseys. They wear out. They become unstretchy. It's quite interesting. But yeah, fleece was a fad. But see, the thing about fleece, folks, fleece wasn't really a fad. And here's why it wasn't a fad, because it's not bad. Fleece is good. It's not good. Look, we're still using fleece to this day. Like a soft shell jacket is fleece on the inside. But fleece is an excellent mid-layer. And you want to have your clothes all separated, folks. You got to have a base layer, then a mid-layer, then a windproof, waterproof shell. Like, that's the optimal kit. Base layer to wick moisture and keep a barrier on your skin. Mid-layer to hold in heat. Rain shell / wind layer to keep water out, preferably a breathable waterproof membrane. Like a Tyvek jacket isn't that bad of an idea, because Tyvek only allows moisture to go one way, out. So, you know, if you wrap yourself in Tyvek, water will not get in, but it'll still get out. It's a waterproof, breathable membrane. Fun fact. Yeah, I became a hardcore clothing nerd back in the late 90s, and I'm not looking back, because clothing is amazing if you know what you're doing. All right. Anyway, what do you got? Let's get through the space weather and Earth weather and end this stream, because it's getting old. It's getting long. And we're going to see a major CME on the far side, I think. I don't see jack. Oh, well, let's look at stereo A instead. I don't care. If there's missing data, I don't care. I'm not mad at NASA or anybody else about it. I just don't care. What the fuck? Why does it keep, if I put it here, leave it the fuck there? The fuck. Son of a piece of shit. I hate when the computer is an asshole. Dear wizards of AI, don't try to take control of my own devices, you son of a bitch. Or I will find you and I will shame you, Microsloth. Good God. Such pathetic junkware. I mean, how did mankind start to tolerate the computer software that we currently have? Computers are supposed to make you more productive, not less. Remember that? Remember in the 80s when computers were making everybody more productive? What the happened to that It's rage inspiring. Anyway, I don't see any CMEs at all. I don't know what the hell University of Reading's talking about. They got one on the far side modeled in their thing, but I don't see it. So whatever. Here we go. It's 10/2. That's not October 2nd. That's 10 February 2026. That's where planets currently are. Jupiter's in retrograde. If that freaks you out, for God's sakes, press unsubscribe. Retrograde planets don't do jack to you. These things are really far apart. This map is not to scale. Obviously, look, the sun is shown, I think, smaller than Jupiter, certainly counting the retrograde pink glow. There's where things will be in 7 days. And in another week and a half, we're going to have Mercury in retrograde. And that's going to have people saying things that are ridiculous about the way planetary alignments and stuff relate to reality, which is that they pretty much don't relate to anything besides people casting a weird spell on themselves and saying, Mercury in retrograde means a thing, and then they make sure that it causes a thing to happen, and then they say, look, it causes a thing. They caused the thing, and then they're like, look, Mercury caused a thing. And you're like, wow, science, thanks, bro. No spikes in the proton flux. X-ray fluxes back down to a low-level C-class background flux. 1.16, a C1.16 is about to drop into a B-class level, but I don't think it's going to, because we got new sunspots that rose on the limb. I'm talking about these right up here. See plasma moving around, and look, we have a trans-equatorial plasma action once again. So keep in mind, folks, as the solar cycle progresses, we do have sunspots moving closer and closer to the equator. And when that happens, you get more of these plasma interactions where you have a bridge of plasma interacting across the solar equator. And that's what you want to see. That is an unstable scenario. So that's what I like to see. So let us know in the comments what you like to see. But we want to see unstable scenarios because we want to see solar storms launch right at Earth, causing big time strikes, because the grid ain't going to shut down, civilization isn't going to be destroyed, and the sun is your pal. So please stop being spooked of the sun if you are, and if you aren't, thank goodness. Shout out to Tamitha Scove. You son of a piece of... How many erroneous keystrokes have you done in the past 5 years? A trillion? I've done a trillion. And it's because none of the software fucking works. Anyway, we're looking at the heliosphere, and Earth has just passed into a North Pole magnetic sector. Like I said, those are North Pole-oriented coronal holes on the eastern limb down out here. And so, yeah, North Pole sector has arrived. And look, the apocalypse has not happened, even though Earth crossed out of the South Pole-oriented sector, across a current sheet, across another current sheet, and into the North Pole magnetic sector. And look, nobody had to enter a doomsday bunker. By the way, this data is derived from ground-based magnetometers and magnetometers on stereo A, which is right here, and stereo B, which is right here. Here's a closer look at the coronal holes I talked about earlier, and there they are in all their green-colored magnetic field oriented towards you glory. Okay, these magnetic fields are oriented toward the sun. These are oriented toward you. Does that make it spooky? I don't know, not really. But the stream from this coronal holes has been quite strong. So maybe that's something interesting. Maybe the locality of that big sunspot helped to accelerate that coronal hole high-speed stream. Maybe those things are acting in unison somehow, right? That's an interesting feature because, you know, perhaps if you have a coronal hole high-speed stream kind of right next to a sunspot, and it's making huge fields. Maybe the coronal hole is robbing some of that plasma or something, right? Maybe it's accelerating it as it leaves the corona. Who knows? Who knows? But there's a lot of stuff going on there, and it's obviously not gravity because all the material is escaping the sun. So other forces are clearly at play. Anyway, here's the last image. There is the open field line zone known as a coronal hole. It is North Pole oriented. High speed stream from that in about 56 hours. Next, we'll look at some magnetograms from our ground-based observatories. Here's El Teide, the tidy data at El Teide, Spain. And yeah, like I said, this is a beta class sunspot group, but it's just beta class. So, but the good news is that it's interacting, or its fields, wait a minute, this sunspot is beta class, not beta gamma, not beta gamma delta, just beta. Although it may be forming some deltas there in the trailing end, but we'll save that for tomorrow as it's just coming off the limb here. It does have some propensity to produce large flares, but it does have plasma interacting with the plasma oriented with this active region, which, is it just forming? That one might be just forming. Let's take a look at the no, it's just a plage. It's just a plage, actually, this active region down here. This is not a sunspot yet, as we don't see the telltale dark umbra. The heart of darkness. I've been learning about the inspiration for the movie Apocalypse Now. The Heart of Darkness. About the horrors of the Congo and the King of Belgium and the insanity that went on there. I'll put a pin in that, and maybe I'll bring it up at a later time, but before I become horrified and make this stream longer than it needs to be. A great story of colonial tragedy and bad business, all rolled into one terrific tale of terror. All right, synthetics are crap, says SV Thora Sailing. I don't know what you would use. I mean, if you like, synthetics are crap. Okay, you're gonna wear a wool cycling kit? Like, what are you talking about, dude? Synthetics are definitely not crap. There are garments out there that would make your head spin. For example, ski suits that get rid of the static electricity and prevent bacterial growth and fungal growth. Yeah, there are garments that have silver threads and grounding systems built into them. I kid you not. Like people use the clothing for convenience. Dear God. Oh my God. The Southwest Divided States of America. I think it should be called AUSA. One of our viewers came up with that. She's called Nabo J when she actually shows up in comments. Shout out to Nabo J for coming up with AUSA. AUSA, the allegedly United States of America. I think that happened in the year 2020, which was the exact year to invent the term. So she did a fine job with that. I should make a thing. Just switch the colors to red, white, and black. Red, white, and black. AUSA, the allegedly United States of America. Because the states really do have all the power, folks. That's just a fact. Mojave Desert, magnetometers are provided by a governed institution. I guess every institution is a governed institution. That's like saying an elephant is governed by an elephant brain. Anyway, here is, or you could say a donkey brain, or you could say a rattlesnake is governed by a rattlesnake brain. Massive filaments on the Earth side of the solar disk. You could name them after living people if you want to. All you got to do is just do something like this. Just like take a screenshot and then bring up some Microsoft software like Snip and Sketch and then like point an arrow at the filament you want to name, like this one right here. And then take a screenshot again. A screenshot of a screenshot. You can conceptualize this. You're smart YouTube viewers. And then just go to X and just put up the image and say, come on, man. Bob Lehman. And that filament has been named after Bob Lehman. Yeah, it's one of Scott McIntosh's colleagues. And there it is. That's how you name a filament, after living people, your friends, your foes, or even yourself. China. If you're afraid of that, you might as well be afraid of bubblegum and dental floss, because that's what's holding China together. A series of barely connected cantons of utter incompetence. That's twice in a row. That's twice in a row. Twice in a row. That's 2 times in a row. Earlier this morning, as soon as I mentioned cheddar, you know what cheddar is, right? Cheddar. You got to say it like Tronald Dump. You say it like Tronald Dump. You say cheddar. And then, what do you know? You set it at the top of your face like you have like a sinus infection. Cheddar. Cheddar is held together. Cheddar is held together by dental floss and bubblegum. Okay. Dental floss and bubblegum. Okay. Cheddar. You got to say it at the top of your face. Don't say it out of your belly. Don't say it the way Norah Jones would belt it out. Don't say it like you have a voice at all. Say it at the top of your face, okay? At the very top. The very, very top of your face. Cheddar. Cheddar. We're very scared of cheddar. So we're sending them 1.4 trillion of your dollars. Okay. Next, we'll look at the electron flux, which is still going to be high, probably. Although I think it's coming down now. So we may see this subside here in the next day or two. Let's hope so. But as far as the electrification of Earth, this doesn't mean Earth is electrified. This means that there are a lot of free ions in one specific portion of the ionosphere. This is just the F layer of the ionosphere. This, and this is particle counts, by the way. This is the coupled thermosphere, ionosphere, plasmasphere electrodynamics model, the total electron content forecast. And that's showing all the free ions from ground level to about 25,000 miles of altitude. That's from the outer portion of the outer Van Allen belt all the way down to ground level. So that's where GPSs are likely to work like crap today. If you would like to think you're thousands of miles from where you really are, rely on a GPS when those things are red, and it will be way off. Are we likely to see any major radio blackouts today? Not really. The likelihood of solar flares is kind of low. So we don't really have very complex groups, although we could still see an X-class flare from that western limb. Don't be surprised to see one of those. And we could see a proton event as a result of that. But at the moment, we're at a C-class background flux. We were at an M-class background flux last week because of 4633, and now it's pretty chill. This is where the layers are located, if you're wondering. That's the ionosphere, and the F layer is at a different altitude in day and nighttime, and we won't talk about it. There's the current ionosphere map. I'll press refresh for your viewing pleasure. But there's the anomalygram, anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median, and there is the raw vibrational frequency, and here is the South Atlantic anomaly, right off the west coast of South America. It's literally right on the transitional zone from night to day right now, and you can see the steepness of that ionosphere there. It's a big dip in Earth's magnetosphere, the weakest point right there, the South Atlantic anomaly, and there it is, obviously, on the equatorial west coast of South America. Cheers. Enjoy that. If that freaks you out, I don't know why. It's really not It's scary. It's honestly not very scary. Let's bring up 40 frames. I think that's going to be the right amount. 40 frames. There we go. The full sunrise. The full sunrise are darn close. There you go. That's not bad. Let's pan over a little bit so we can see the time and date stamps. How about one size smaller? There we go. That's not bad. That's pretty good. I'll take it for our guerrilla camera filming techniques. I mean, I do have OBS. Like OBS is, I use it all the time. It's just that when we use OBS for these daily streams, we get maybe 1/10 of the views, sometimes less than 1/10 of the views. So I guess it has to do with landscape versus portrait. I don't know. Everybody's viewing the devices. Everybody's viewing on smartphones or something about the way the YouTube, something about the way YouTube recommends, YouTube's quote AI. All right, what do we have? Too much chatter. Yeah, don't say chatter. Please don't say chatter in the chats. Okay? Because if we say chatter in the chats, then we're gonna have problems with the fact that the crooked cantons are held together by dental floss and by bubble gum. Okay? So let's just stick to fireworks, and we won't talk about Chinaman and China and Charlotte Chinaman. Chinaman from China. Like you have sinusitis, folks. You can do it. Say it aloud. China. Are you spooked of China? China. Monsoons are cool. Dan's pissed rushing through it to finish. I'm not really pissed. I mean, I'm not pissed about the space weather and earth weather. I'm pissed about certain things, though, that's for sure. Like my latest employer, who still owes me $3,000. Just $3,000, no big deal. Eggs and garlic this morning. Yeah, love you too, Dirk, and everybody else who views or doesn't. Who else misses Dan's cooking? Yeah, I mean, you should follow me on Instagram if you miss my cooking, because there's food up on there practically every day, and we'll share recipes if you ask, but nobody asks because nobody sees the fucking content. Speaking of seeing content, you see the links in the description? Well, one of those is a link to our merch shop. When will you stop believing NASA's lies and visit our merch shop? I mean, there's even mature content on there, folks, but there's a link right there in the description. And of course, our best seller of all time was, well, you're going to have to find out yourself. You can sort by best selling, but in any case, you are personally invited to join the Croissant Earth Society. Now, I know Neil deGrasse Tyson is out there telling people that Earth is shaped like an oblate spheroid, and Jeranism is out there telling people that Earth is like a snow globe, and Zeus is telling people that Earth is like a record platter being held up by a guy called Atlas, who's like the son of the Titans. And then like there's like another dude that'll tell you that Earth is like a pizza crust surrounded by the spooky ice world of Antarctica. And other people will tell you it's just a flat plane that goes on forever surrounded by a spooky pizza crust like circle that's Antarctica because reasons. But anyway, now of course, a croissant-shaped planet may, violate your scientism, but for God's sake, folks, believe what I'm saying and disbelieve what everybody else is saying because reasons. Because the cope is strong with this one. The copium, the serving of copium is definitely at OD levels. It's terrifying. The level of copium. Never seen copium like I've seen it in the past 2 weeks. And I even forecasted it. And it's because of the Herbsturm furls. The Herbsturm furls. Remember, you heard of those? The Herbsturm furls? Well, those Herbsturm furls, they have caused COPE to reach levels that are, you're banned from donating the channel. What? Are you suggesting super chats don't function? Or do you mean you're banned? Boomer. Try to be clear, Boomer. God. Do you mean YouTube banned you from donating? Or do you mean like your wife told you you can't donate? What are you talking about? And by the way, the best way to donate is by using PayPal. There's a link on the homepage. You can also become a patron, and you can send us cash every month without having 25% of it go to YouTube. So there's that. If you want to send a quarter of anything you send us, then definitely do it through Super Chats. But if you want to send all of the money, do it through PayPal. PayPal.me/SmashoMash. It's linked on the homepage at smashomash.com, and there's a Patreon account. You can set up a monthly fee to pay whatever amount you want every month automatically, like any other Patreon. That does give some kind of a cut to Patreon, but it's much smaller than 25%, if I recall. Okay, thanks for letting me know. I'll take a screenshot of that. But I doubt that anything's going to happen, because what am I going to do? Complain to YouTube about it? Like, there's nobody at the wheel. You know, I was saying in the earlier stream, there's nobody at the wheel in any company. Not one company is able to do 5% of their own job. Like, what is up with that? Have you noticed this? How it's a full-time job to just like run your life? Since when did this shit happen? Is this like a new thing? Like, I mean, like, when I pay somebody to do a thing, I have to do 95% of their work. What the hell is this? Like, insurance companies can't figure out how to take money out of an account after you give them the card information. What the f*** is that? I'm like, can you verify the payment went through? Looks like it went through. A week later, cancellation notice comes in. I'm like, I don't think it went through. Try again. 8 days later, another cancellation notice comes through. What the fuck? Like, not one thing works right. Not one thing. The quality of everything has gone to absolute trash in the US. And this is the exact forecast. It's the exact forecast. Like, thanks for the tariffs, bros. Thanks for the tariffs. You have fucked up the economy in a centralized control fashion like no other economic illiterate ever has. Fantastic. Way to shut down the whole world economy single-handedly with one idiotic swipe of the pen. Brilliant. Brilliant. Thanks, Tronald. Tronald. The fuck. It's as pathetic as Herlon Musk. That Herlon Musk guy? Oh my gosh, what is that guy's problem? How does he still have cultists? How does Herlon Musk have cultists? How? How many times can you lie and they're still singing the hymns? Let me know in the comments. Seriously, I want to know. How many lies can you hear and keep singing the cult hymnal? Dude, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to donate. Are you using Chrome browser? You should be viewing the videos. You should be using the Chrome browser on a PC. But if you use the Chrome browser, all the plugins will work, because Google wants to make sure that it gets its 25%, Dirk. So, like, I guarantee you it works if you use Chrome browser. Like, prove me wrong. Here's a U.S. water vapor map, and we've got a band of fully dry air across the center of the country. And look, all that hot air in Colorado is not warming it up. It's cold and wet in Colorado in terms of the upper level atmosphere. So, but there's dry air in the south, dry air all across Canvas. I mean, not Canvas. Wait, what's it called? This state, it's called Canvas, right? Just kidding, folks. Don't worry. I'm not AI. I can do stuff like read and understand things and know stuff and think. Unlike AI, artificially intelligent, because it isn't intelligent. The only thing that's artificial is that it's intelligence. Atmospheric river blasting into California. Watch out for landslides. It's hilly. And when you have that much rain striking a hilly place in the wintertime, you get a lot of stuff going on. Atmospheric river, folks. There's a buzzword for you. Tell Mr. MBB333 and Gina Maria Colvin Hill, oh my God, it's an atmospheric river, folks. Oh, look out. Don't get stuck in an atmospheric waterfall, otherwise known as a rainstorm. Look, folks, gravity waves, freak out, freak out. Deny the basic forces and space-time warping of the universe. Claim that gravity has nothing to do with weather. Tell people the universe is electric. They'll join your cult and sound as silly as you. It will be a delight. The Electric Universe, folks, brought to you by the charitable donations of Walthorn Hill. Not a scientist. Anyway, we got some probably snow there. I suspect it's not warm enough for rain in Toronto, but it's clearing up. It's clearing up, Rush. Hey, Getty and Alex and whoever that new chick is who's now your drummer. It's about to clear up, dudes. So, time to go on tour. Begin the day with a friendly voice, a companion unobtrusive. Play that song that's so elusive. Heat wave in Lehigh Valley, PA. We're all the way up to 18 degrees. With a high near 33, it's going above freezing 2 days in a row. Make it 3 or 4 or 5 or so. It's gonna, yeah, there you go. That's called spring right there. That is called spring right there. Multiple days, well into above freezing temperatures. And thanks, Barb, who says, buy Dan a coffee. Yeah, I need one. I need a coffee. I need so many things. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Next, we're looking at sea surface temperature here on windy.com. 13 degrees in Allentown. For all of our Lehigh Valley viewers, we're going to have multiple days in a row where it's above freezing. That's going to be a delight because we're going to have shoulders on the roads again, and they'll become safe on which to ride a bicycle. So that's nice. Shout out to all of our viewers from Lehigh Valley Cycling Club, our pals in of the two-wheeled variety. And why is it not displaying? Let's press refresh. A refreshing thing to do. Here's your pressure map for the U.S. And check out the lows in the North Atlantic. Some great surf on Ireland. Yeah, the west coast of Ireland has some good surf right now, folks. And I'm not kidding. You think I'm kidding? You think I'm freaking kidding? I ain't kidding. Look at this. Boom. An offshore wind and 12-foot waves. How you like them apples? Not too much. "12-foot waves on the west coast of Ireland." Leave us a comment, all of you Irish surfers out there. All of you West Irish surfers wearing, I guess, dry suits. You know somebody has to be doing that. Somebody has to be doing that, folks. There's some hardcore dude that has a dry suit. And hopefully he's taking a break for lunch right now, because I imagine it's pretty, to quote Larry David, it's pretty swole. Pretty swole. Yo! Oh, 1-footers. What the hell? 1 foot, what are you talking about? Waves. Yeah, we got 24-footers out here in the North Atlantic, dudes. Can tell me, lie to me about wave heights, windy.com. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you forecast the climate when you can't forecast the weather out 2 weeks? That's my question. How dare you not load this page? You son of a bitturn. I should strike you down with lightningmaps.org, which might prevent you from being struck down, especially if the fucking thing loads. Let's press refresh and see if that convinces Blitzortung. No, it's down, folks. That wasn't us. That son of a bitturn website was not up. All right, let's show one forecast. It's for snow, because I want to know how much snow. But it's not going to matter that much no more, because winter is over. Winter is over. We may still see a foot or two show up in just a day or two, but I don't mind, because winter's over, bitch. Why did it do that? You asshole. 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 Yay, Tropical Tidbits is down. Oh, the internet's down for the whole PC, which means you get no forecast. You get no forecast. Watch, it's not gonna change layers. I'm gonna try to show the jet stream, but it's not gonna work. Not gonna work. It's a heaping helping and not gonna work. Yep, can't do it. It's all grayed out. So this video is over. Over, I tell you. And as soon as that tries to refresh, that's going to shut down too. So it's time to shut this video down. There's 94 angstroms. I don't think we showed that yet, but as long as we have the data locally, it'll actually work. And your comments will not be able to be on screen. So we're going to close that window. But I can still see your comments because I am on a device. This computer disconnected and doesn't know how to reconnect to the internet. So I'm not sure if it's because of browser conflicts or why it is that it does that. But guess what? I don't care. My job is not to waste all day trying to figure out how to get Microsoft to work with Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft to run different browsers. Look, I'm a gamer. I can figure it out. I just don't care. But I'm probably going to do another stream a little bit later because I'm going to ride the bike. So there's that. So anyway, it's time to close this out, but first I'll see if there are any other comments I need to refer to. Thanks again, Barb, for the super chat. We really appreciate that. Increasing the likelihood that Google will decide to pay us a dime this month. And just to give you some insight into the revenue of the channel, Google doesn't pay you. AdSense does not pay out unless you have $100 in the account. So, and yeah, $5 makes a difference for this channel because we don't make jack. We make an immeasurably small amount, and our operating loss is kind of large. Kind of large. Yeah, you see, Barb's works, so I guarantee you yours would work too if you used Chrome browser. Google's own browser, Chrome, is optimized to work with YouTube, and all of the features probably only work with Chrome browser, allegedly, but that's where you start. Sometimes it's not the best browser to run a thing, but generally speaking, anybody who does tech support is going to say the same thing. Make sure you're running Chrome browser. Almost everything is optimized for that, and Chromium browser is based on an architecture of Google Chrome. Google Chrome is based on Chromium. Chromium is the open source browser. It may lack plugins, but if you want a minimalist browser, which is why I installed it on the computer to do these videos, I wanted a minimalist browser that has a lot of features disabled because that makes it run what we call lean in the realm of gaming. It doesn't use a lot of memory and processor. And that's what you want if you want things to run smoothly. Anyway, without being a min-maxer, it's time to close out this video, but we'll show one more. Let's show one more thing here. We never show 284. Oh, we can't show anything. Never mind. But we probably still have the 304. There we go. The 304 is still there. And as you can see, we actually do have some action both on the north, west, and northeast limbs. So that is a place to watch throughout the day today, because limb flares are more likely. Limb flares are more likely than center of disc flares. So, once they get about to where this one is now, they're no longer limb flares. But when there's a big angle there, where there's a real steep angle on the limb, for some reason, and there's probably physics to explain it, but we're not going to cover that on this video. But remind me, we should get Eugene the philosopher on to collaborate about this, because there may be some relatively unknown physics explanations for why limb flares could be a little more intense and a little bit more likely. So anyway, we'll close this thing out here. I'm going to let that run through one more time. But in the meantime, I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off from the Smash News Network, Least Busted Name of News. And until then, that is next time, may that solar wind be at your back and that crap be absent from your YouTube feed. Yeah, I'm not surprised it doesn't work for you, Dirk, because not one thing works here. Not one thing. Not one business can do their own job. Not one piece of software works. Not like the refrigerator's busted. Like, not one thing works, man. So, yeah, it fucking sucks indeed. Larry David is the co-creator of Seinfeld, Barb. He's in a show called Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's one of the most popular sitcoms. Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's the real sequel to Seinfeld. There is no sitcom that has ever inherited the comedy real estate of Seinfeld until Curb Your Enthusiasm. 9 seasons, I think there are, aren't there? Correct me if I'm wrong. 9 seasons of Curb Your Enthusiasm. It is one of the best shows ever made. It's right up there with Seinfeld and Magnum P.I. and Star Trek The Next Generation. So anyway, we are so out. See you next time. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Don't forget to visit the links, press share, like, subscribe, comment, even if you're viewing in syndication. And bye-bye.